Part 62. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 611. Su Yang had a complicated expression and said nothing. Just as Lin Yuan said, he would definitely not be able to defeat Lin Yuan, and he was not even qualified to be Lin Yuan's opponent. Su Yang, leave him to me at this time, Qian Shangxiu stood in front of Su Yang and said. At the same time, a terrifying aura surged out of her body and swept the entire place. Martial Master Realm. So powerful. And us. At this time, Shi Jushan, Wang Fuegui, and Zhang Megu walked out from behind the grass not far away. Su Yang was stunned and couldn't help but ask, when did you squat there? Ahem, this. Shi Jushan was no longer drunk. When he heard Su Yang's question, he coughed twice, feeling slightly embarrassed. Zhang Megu's eyes were hidden and he did not answer Su Yang's question. Haha, Mr. Su, do you really think we are drunk? Wang Fuegui, who was standing in the middle, said with a playful smile, when you brought Qian Shangxiu over, we followed you secretly and have been watching for a while. You are so shameless. If someone asks you to touch them, you can touch them and touch them without feeling ashamed. Wang Fuegui then complained, also, since we are all shameless, we don't have to rush to the next step. We are squatting in the grass in the middle of the night. There are so many mosquitoes. How can it be easy for us? Fuck. When Su Yang heard this, his face suddenly darkened, and he couldn't help but said, you three guys, you all peeked at me. Young Master Wang, my eldest cousin and brother Mugu have entered the realm of Martial Master. I didn't pay attention and couldn't detect their aura. How on earth did you hide your aura? Su Yang suddenly asked curiously. Road. Hey, do you think I'm a vegetarian? This ancient arm of mine is so powerful. Wang Fuegui smiled proudly and said, it's just hiding the aura, it's easy for me. Young Master Su, I have to say that you were too exhausted just now, and the pace was really slow. I thought you were going to use the sky as your quilt and the earth as your bed with your sister-in-law. Wang Fuegui said slightly disappointedly, hey, it's a pity that I waited in vain. When Qian Shangxiu heard this, her beautiful face suddenly turned red. Fuck you. Su Yang cursed and said, if I had known I would have given you a bad leg, let's see how you still behave. And you too, eldest cousin, brother Mugu, what do you think? You have learned bad things together with Wang Fuegui. Young Master Su, the conscience of heaven and earth, this matter was brought up by my eldest cousin, and I am just an accomplice. Wang Fuegui hurriedly explained, and then said, besides, it's not just the three of us peeking. Come out, stop hiding, show your face, you will help young Master Su fight later. Well, what's the meaning? Are there others hiding in the grass? Just when Su Yang was confused, Zhao Zhiruo and Lan Miaoi stood up one after another, showing awkward smiles to Su Yang. You. Su Yang was immediately speechless. Qian Shangxiu next to her wanted to find a crack in the ground and crawl into it, her face as red as a ripe apple. Mr. Su, I'm sorry. I came here just out of curiosity, so I came to take a look. I originally planned to leave, and I didn't mean to peep, Zhao Zhiruo whispered, with a little sadness in his eyes. She has fallen in love with Su Yang, and she will naturally feel sad when she sees Su Yang cuddling with other women. Su Yang would be reminded if Duan Qingsheng appeared within a certain range. These words touched Su Yang's heart, and Su Yang echoed excitedly, see, this is the demeanor of an elder. You all should learn from it. Wait a minute. Master Duan Qingsheng knelt down on one knee and awkwardly greeted Su Yang. Seeing this, Shi Han blushed, and then changed the subject and said, Su Yang, let's talk about these things later. Let's deal with the old poison first. Holy shit, Su Yang couldn't help but complain, why the hell are you here? Qian Shan Sui's face turned red, and she felt like she had been caught doing something bad. I. Su Yang was naturally embarrassed to say anything, so he stepped aside and handed over the home court to them. Su Yang was busy arguing with Jian Shangxiu just now, and then Lai Yuan appeared. He had no time to feel Duan Qingshen's position. There is no way, Su Yang is far behind them now, so he can only watch the battle from the sidelines. Shi Hehan also came, even he came earlier, but he hid it better. Yes, cousin, grandpa is right, this old poison seems to be very strong, Shi Jushin agreed. This is Shi Hehan's voice. And Su Yang complained. You juniors have bad conduct and do some shady things, which will damage the reputation of this famous mountain. Humph, I won't do this again. The other people at the scene also looked at Sumo's body. Although the relationship between Su Yang and Shi Hehan has been eased, Su Yang has hated Shi Hehan for so long, so he did not change his name to Grandpa. Su Yang looked at Lan Miaoai and Zhao Ziruo and couldn't help but said, "This afternoon, I just asked you to accept the baptism of golden light and advance to the realm of martial master. You really like to join in the fun." As Su Yang was talking, at this moment, a figure came out from behind another bush. It was Duan Qingsheng. Lin Yuan was not afraid at all, looking at Shi Hehan and others with disdain. Cough. Although he has bound a soul contract with you, Duan Qingsheng, he can only sense Duan Qingshen's location when he wants to find him. Duan Qingsheng explained in a low voice, I saw Master Shishin and the others were here, so I. Haha, they are all in the martial arts realm. It's interesting. I just want to see the new realm of the ancient martial arts system. You guys can go together. I didn't expect that you would hide your aura and spy on me as soon as you became stronger. If I had known this, I would have given all these quotas to my men in the afternoon. They would definitely not. Ziruo, why are you apologizing to him? We just happened to pass by. When did we peek? You. Just as he was talking, Su Yang suddenly realized something was wrong. After reacting, his face suddenly darkened. Shi Hehan, you are also peeping yourself, why do you have the nerve to reprimand others? Lan Miaoai glanced at Jian Shangxiu and said with a playful smile, Jian Shangxiu, I didn't expect that you, who are usually as cold as ice, would actually do that kind of thing with a man in the wilderness, ha ha ha. As soon as Shi Hehan opened his mouth, he stood on the moral high ground, his face did not change, his heart did not beat, and he righteously reprimanded several juniors present. At this moment, when he heard Duan Qingsheng confessing himself, he couldn't sit still, so he stood up. You too. Well said. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 612. Lin Yuan took control of Sumo's physical body, and with its pure power, it was already comparable to the peak of pill formation. As for Shi Hehan and others, although they have reached the sky in one step and advanced to the new realm of the ancient martial arts system, the martial master realm, they are only equivalent to the early stages of pill formation. Therefore, even if these people join forces, Lin Yuan is still not afraid, and even a little excited. Tap tap tap. The next moment, Lin Yuan took the lead and took control of Sumo's body, striding towards Shi Hehan and others. Taishan magical skill. Taishan magical skill. Shi Hehan and Shi Jushin, without any hesitation, immediately used the strongest means. Their bodies instantly increased several times, like two hills, standing in front of everyone. Taishan's magical power is mysterious and unpredictable. After using it, the power of Shi Hehan and Shi Jushin, the grandsons of Zhou Shen, suddenly increased dramatically. Now that the two of them have set foot in the martial master realm, their power at this moment is far beyond what it was during the day. However, their golden bodies were not broken due to promotion, but remain the same as before. The size of the body has little to do with one's state of mind. It mainly depends on one's understanding of Mount Tai's magical skills. Therefore, Shi Jushin still increased to 7 or 8 meters, and Shi Hehan was also more than 10 meters tall. It is worth mentioning that Shi Hehan has used Taishan magical skill 100 times. Taishan's magic power can only be used 100 times, and if you use it for the 100th time, you will definitely die. But Shi Hehan broke through his own bottleneck and entered a new realm, the Martial Master realm. This was a realm that no ancient warrior had ever reached before. Shi Hehan's body muscle energy was restored as a result. In other words, the previous times were completely cleared. From now on, he can use the Taishan magic skill 100 times more. At this point, it's just the first time. Old poison. Under the blessing of Mount Tai's magical power, Shi Hehan's whole body shone with golden light, and he said calmly, "The opening of the 100 Sex Martial Arts competition today is a blessing to the ancient martial arts world. I don't want to break the killing rule. If you leave like this, no one will stop you. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude." Haha, what a joke. Lin Yuan stood under the golden giant. He was very small, but unfazed. He raised his head and sneered, "Shi Hehan, do you think I'm scared? Don't you feel that with the power I have now, am I not weaker than you?" Lin Yuan raised his eyebrows. "Is it?" Hearing this, Shi Hehan said in a deep voice, "According to speculation, it is said that the Martial Master realm is comparable to the Alchemy Formation realm. But there has never been a Martial Master realm in this world before, so I doubt it." Shi Hehan said coldly, "Old poisonous creature, I will try it on you today." As soon as the words fell, Shi Hehan suddenly took action, hitting Lin Yuan directly with his huge fist. "Huh, that's what I meant." Lin Yuan sneered again and again, controlled Sumo's body to punch, and directly faced Shi Hehan. Clang! Along with a loud noise, a terrifying battle aftermath rippled across all directions. The scene was filled with gravel and broken vegetation. It was so powerful. So strong. The next moment, Shi Hehan took half a step back, his lantern-sized eyes filled with shock. As for Lin Yuan, he didn't retreat even an inch, his fist was intact, and he looked calm on the surface, but he was surprised in his heart. I have always thought that the ancient martial arts system was very weak. Even if the ancient martial arts reform started, it would not be able to achieve much. Lin Yuan said secretly, "So, I took the initiative to let go of Gu Wu and chose to embark on the path of cultivation. I feel that I have abandoned the dark and turned to the light. But I didn't expect that the martial lord realm above the land martial god would be so powerful. It's really terrifying and comparable to the Dan formation realm." Lin Yuan looked at Shi Hehan and others, already making a decision in his heart, and said secretly, "No, these people must all be killed. Shi Hehan has just entered the early stage of pill formation, and he was able to take one of my punches without dying or even being injured. If this group of martial masters are allowed to grow, I'm afraid it won't be long before the earth will be controlled by ancient warriors. The martial master realm is comparable to the core formation realm. So, isn't it true that the realm of martial saint above martial lord is equivalent to nascent soul, as said outside? Now that he controls the physical body of ancestor Sumo, he is only at the peak of his pill formation. Even if his plan succeeds, seizes the void tower, and devours the ancestor's soul, he still doesn't know when he will be able to set foot in the nascent soul realm. He must not let this batch of martial lord realm have the opportunity to advance to martial saint. Kill. Only by killing them can we avoid future troubles and not affect our ability to rule the world." With this thought in his mind, Lin Yuan's eyes gradually turned cold, with a strong murderous intention on his face, and he glanced at the whole place coldly. "Today, no one here can survive." Originally, Lin Yuan didn't want to kill Su Yang, lest Su Wuji's return would cause unnecessary trouble. But now, he has changed his mind. He just wants to stop doing it and eradicate the root cause. Even if Suwaji comes back alive, he may not know that he killed these people. With Lin Yuan's current strength, he was very confident that he would be able to kill all the people present, but it would be a little more troublesome. After all, the opponent had 6 or 7 early-stage martial masters. Let's take action together. When Shi Huan saw this, his face became solemn. After leaving a sentence, he took the brunt and killed Lin Yuan. Although everyone present was in the early stage of Wuzan, Shi Huan was the strongest. Kill. The golden giant Shijushin next to him had already activated the Taishan magic technique, and followed closely behind. Ice and snow. Naturally, Qin Shangxiu was not ambiguous, so he immediately used his special skills. The temperature at the scene instantly dropped to freezing point, which was extremely cold. This is a characteristic of her martial arts, which can reduce the temperature around her to below zero. The speed of enemies standing within this range will be affected, and their strength will naturally be greatly reduced. Qin Shangxiu, on the other hand, can ignore the influence and even feel like a fish in water. To put it simply, ice and snow are equivalent to an increase buff. Lotus Sword. On the other side, in order to protect Su Yang, whom he liked, Zhao Zhiruo summoned the Lotus Sword, the most precious treasure of Mount Imei, with the thought. Zheng. Then, she used the Lotus Sword technique, her skirts fluttered, and the Lotus Sword pierced Lin Yuan. Destroy. Needless to say, Zhang Magu was grateful to Su Yang and spared no effort to take action. Boom. He was seen carrying a big animal skin drum, and his palms directly hit the drum surface. A deafening sound wave locked onto Lin Yuan and attacked at a fixed point. The remaining Duan Qingsheng and Lan Miaoi had nothing to say. They took action almost at the same time and besieged Lin Yuan. Haha, come on, everyone. When Lin Yuan saw this, he immediately looked up to the sky and laughed. His posture was very arrogant, and he jumped up to meet him. Boom. He first punched Shi Huan away, and then punched Shijushin away. Immediately afterwards, Lin Yuan stepped on the ground hard, destroying the ice and snow created by Jianshan snow. The next moment, he waved his hand, defeating the terrifying sword intent of Zhao Zhiruo, and even repelled Lan Miaoi. But Zhang Magu's attack is rather weird, a sonic attack, which has a miraculous effect on the soul. Hiss. Lin Yuan was hurt by the destructive power brought by annihilation, and frowned slightly. Then he endured the pain, rushed towards Zhang Magu, and said coldly, "Boy, you actually hurt me, then I will send you away first. Go to hell." You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 613. Facing Lin Yuan's attack, Zhang Magu's heart tightened and his pupils quickly contracted. At the same time, he carried the animal skin drum and retreated violently, avoiding Lin Yuan. But Lin Yuan was chasing after him and was about to approach Zhang Magu. Stop him. Shi Huan saw the scene and said hurriedly. In an instant, everyone, including Shi Huan himself, rushed towards Lin Yuan. With no other choice, Lin Yuan could only give up targeting Zhang Magu for the time being and take action to deal with Shi Huan and others. Zhang Magu, you continue to beat the drum remotely. We stop the old poison. He has taken over this body in his soul state. Your sonic attack has a miraculous effect on him. Shi Huan saw the clues and spoke. Good. Zhang Magu nodded, then stood in the distance and continued to play the fifth drum sound, annihilating it. After entering the realm of Wuzan, the power of annihilation has not only increased, but there is no limit to the number of times. As long as Zhang Magu is willing, he can keep playing the fifth drum sound. Bang bang bang. Deafening loud noises kept pressing against Lin Yuan, causing Lin Yuan to scream in pain from time to time. But this is not fatal. Lin Yuan can even fight against many with one enemy, and it is inextricable from Shi Hehan and others. In this way, the two sides reached a stalemate, and it was difficult to tell the winner for a while. Actually, it stands to reason that at the peak of Dan formation, one can completely ravage several ancient warriors in the early stages of the martial lord. But Shi Hehan, Shi Jushan, Qin Shangxiu, Lan Miaoi, Zhao Zhiruo, Duan Qingsheng, Zhang Magu, these 7 people all have unique skills and have been baptized by the golden light, and none of them are ordinary martial arts in the early stage. Plus, Lin Yuan only relied on Sumo's physical body to possess the combat power at the peak of Danja. First of all, his and Sumo's physical bodies were not perfectly integrated, and the fit was not high, which affected their combat effectiveness. Secondly, Sumo's physical body is suffering from ominous troubles all the time. Although Lin Yuan couldn't feel the pain, this body was being slowly and ominously eroded, which also affected his combat effectiveness. Moreover, the sound of Zhang Magu's drum can ignore the physical body and directly attack the soul. But Lin Yuan's soul was only a half step to build the foundation. If it wasn't protected by the 100 poison flags, it would probably be annihilated and beaten to pieces by Zhang Magu. Combining all the above, Lin Yuan was unable to defeat Shi Hehan's 7 people at the same time. However, his physical body is really strong, so even Shi Hehan and the others cannot defeat him. We can't continue fighting like this. In the distance, Su Yang was watching the battle and analyzed, now that old poison is familiar with this body, I'm afraid it won't be long before he can control it more skillfully, and his soul is also adapting to Brother Magu's sonic attack. In less than 10 minutes, the battle situation will change dramatically, and Shi Hehan and others will lose. Su Yang murmured to himself. Young Master Su, how about we run away first? At this time, Wang Fuegui heard what Su Yang said and suddenly became anxious. No. Su Yang shook his head and said, stay here, Shi Hehan and the others are blocking us. If we leave, we will be very passive. Young Master Wang, the old poisoner's target is me, you'd better leave first, Su Yang said. What the hell? Unexpectedly, when Wang Fuegui heard this, he immediately gritted his teeth and said, Young Master Su, who do you think I, Wang Fuegui, am? I'm just running away. If you don't leave, I won't go anywhere. Brothers. When Su Yang heard this, he was very moved and patted Wang Fuegui on the shoulder without saying anything else. Because he knew that even if he tried to persuade Wang Fuegui would not abandon him and leave alone. Owner. At this time, Ali and Ximen Longjian realized something was going on here and walked over together. Su Yang nodded, then his eyes fell on Ximen Longjian and ordered, Ximen Longjian, you can also join the battle. Yes. Ximen Longjian hesitated slightly after receiving Su Yang's order, but soon joined the melee. He had already felt the power of Lin Yuan, so he used the Hunyuan divine art and the great compassionate palm when he entered the arena. With the addition of Ximen Longjian, Lin Yuan added some pressure, but this was still not enough to defeat him. Hunting. At this time, Su Yang suddenly thought of something, took a step forward, and suddenly used the soul-binding secret technique. Su Mo asked and answered, since you came in to find me, it means that you and the people around you are unable to cope with it? Su Yang, if you know what's going on, you'd better let me out. Considering that Su Wuji and I are old friends, I won't embarrass you. Puff. Su Yang failed and was rebounded by a huge force, opening his mouth and spitting out a mouthful of blood. Su Yang took a step forward, and in an instant, the space inside the void tower shook with great force. Lin Yuan sneered while fighting, with the 100 poison flags guarding me, you can't even think of using that mysterious method to capture my soul. The old poison took possession of Sumo's body in the state of his soul. In fact, his own soul power was relatively weak, which was why Zhang Magu's sonic attack was so effective. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Yang sat cross-legged, calmed his mind, and entered the void tower. As for Ali and Wang Fuegui, they stood beside Su Yang, wary of their surroundings. Just wait, in less than 10 minutes, Shi Hehan and the others will die in my hands. Ha ha ha, Su Yang, don't waste your efforts. Although I haven't really controlled this body yet, my soul has been integrated with the 100 poison banner. Su Mo opened his eyes, slightly surprised, and then said, I will tell you everything I can tell you. Now I can't answer you whatever you ask me. Su Yang, although there is something ominous between heaven and earth, my physical body now at least has the combat power of the Danger realm, right? Haha, you will agree. Su Mo smiled and said confidently, because this is the only way you can choose. Hearing this, Su Mo suddenly showed a smile and chuckled softly, it's so fast. I thought I would have to wait for a while, ha ha ha. Pity. Therefore, Su Yang used soul binding, intending to start from the soul and trap Lin Yuan's soul. Inside the void tower, it's like a chaotic world, with endless dark space as far as the eye can see. Su Mo's soul was sitting cross-legged in the boundless void, his eyes slightly closed. After saying that, Lin Yuan devoted himself to the battle, relying on the tyrannical Su Mo body to sweep across all directions. At this time, Su Yang shook his head and said, even if you recover your true form, it won't help. If you stay here and guard me, there may be someone who can punish him. At this moment, Su Yang appeared and stood in front of Su Mo. Then, Su Yang's face turned as dark as water, and he said in a cold voice, I can also erase your soul and make you completely soulless. You will never leave the void tower. No. Haha, Su Yang, what brought you here? Su Mo. Su Yang met Su Mo's gaze and said calmly, someone is controlling your body and is causing trouble for me. What should I do if I don't agree? Su Yang raised his eyebrows when he heard this. Oh. Master, let me go. At this time, Ali said with a fierce look in his eyes. At this moment, Su Yang's face turned pale, and he would have fallen down if Ali hadn't been holding him up. Su Mo continued, but, I'm afraid you have to give this void tower to me. Lin Yuan threatened coldly, I advise you not to think about escaping, because that will only hasten your death. Who said that? Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 614. When Su Mo heard this, he saw that the killing intent emanating from his body didn't look like he was joking. He couldn't sit still anymore, and his face no longer had the arrogance it had just now. Su Yang, who are you trying to scare? You won't do this. If I lose my soul, you won't get anything good. Su Mo stood up in a hurry, with a flash of anxiety in his eyes, and then persuaded, didn't I say, as long as you let me out, everyone will be safe, okay? Not good. Su Yang said calmly, I don't like to be threatened. I have lived enough. Su Mo, let us die together. I will break up your soul so that you can't be reborn. As for your body outside, haha, it doesn't matter. I've had enough of life anyway. Live enough? This must be false. How could Su Yang die together with Su Mo after finally being reborn? Besides, his women, relatives and friends are all outside, so Su Yang will naturally not let them accompany him to his death. But in this situation, Su Yang must show that he is willing to die and does not care about life and death, in order to force Su Mo. This is a mental game. Whoever shows weakness first will lose the opportunity. Therefore, Su Yang looked at death and strode towards Su Mo as he walked. The space in the void tower twisted, creating a sense of oppression for Su Mo through the environment. Su Yang. Calm down, you have to calm down. Seeing this, Su Mo couldn't hold back for a second and panicked. He backed away and said, the world is still very beautiful. There are so many wonderful things. Everyone can live, so why choose to die? Suemo has also lived for endless years. It stands to reason that his character is extraordinary and cannot be easily fooled. But he has been imprisoned in the Void Tower for more than 100 years, and this feeling is too difficult. Suemo fantasizes about escaping from the Void Tower all the time, going to see the outside world, breathing the outside air, and completing unfinished things. Now, the secret hand he left behind has taken effect, and someone is controlling his body to save him. Seeing that he would be free soon, Su Yang wanted to trade happiness with him. Go to hell. You've lived enough, I haven't lived enough yet. It doesn't matter if you want to die, don't take me with you. Of course, Suemo could only complain about Su Yang in his heart, but he was polite on the surface, for fear of completely irritating Su Yang and speeding up the one-for-one exchange. Why? Seeing that Suemo was scared, Su Yang suddenly felt enlightened. On the surface, he sighed and said, "Don't try to persuade me anymore. I've had enough of living. Living is so tiring. I might as well die 100 times. I want to feel comfortable. No, they say comfort is reserved for the dead, so just let me lie down flat. Suemo, let's come together. Anyway, you have lived for such a long time and you should be more tired than me. Let's hold hands and have a companion on the road to hell," Su Yang said seriously. I, 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 I haven't lived enough. Sumo's expression changed drastically, and he asked hurriedly and cautiously, "Su Yang, have you encountered anything unhappy? I'm here, so I'm your elder. You should listen to my advice, be more open-minded, and think more about happy things, so you'll be in a good mood." Suemo wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and comforted Su Yang for fear that Su Yang would take him away, while cursing in his heart. Damn! Is it easy for me? I just want to be free, but someone wants to hold my hand and walk together. Damn it, I'm so miserable. Damn Suwazi, how could he have such a descendant? There's nothing happy about it. Life is boring. Nothing attracts me anymore, Su Yang said lightly, and at the same time he raised his hand, opened his palm, and pointed it at Suemo. Su Yang is the master of the Void Tower and has absolute control over the Void Tower. Suemo could feel that as long as Su Yang tightened his grip, his soul would be gone in an instant. Don't. Suemo was so frightened that his face turned pale and his breathing became rapid. He couldn't help but swallow his saliva and said quickly, "There are many interesting things, Su Yang. I have hidden a lot of fine wine. When I go out, we can drink together. We won't get drunk." Return. I'm not interested in wine. Su Yang shook his head. Then what do you like, money or power? I can satisfy you. By the way, you always like beautiful women. Suemo seemed to have found a breakthrough, and said quickly, "After I get out, I will find 1,000, no, 10,000 top-notch beauties for you. They are all very beautiful and must all belong to the fairy level. 10,365 days a year, one replacement every day, none of them are the same, it takes 27 years. Suemo continued, "I guarantee that you will be in a state of ecstasy and won't be able to stop. Willing to love the whole world. Woman, I'm sorry, I quit." Su Yang was unmoved by the 10,000 beauties and wanted to destroy Sumo's soul out of frustration. Stop. Sensing that Su Yang was tending to clench his palms, Suemo broke into a nervous sweat and said anxiously, "Su Yang, I'm convinced, what will it take for you to give up the idea of dying together?" "Why?" Su Yang did not put away his palm, but looked at Suemo, and then said, "Because you want to live so much, I can prevent you from losing your mind today. However, I am disgusted with the person outside who controls your body. I want him to die." Su Yang continued, "The body he controls belongs to you. You should have a way to punish him, right? I don't like to be threatened. If you insist on forcing me, then we will die together." Su Yang said calmly, "But if you step forward and help me deal with him, maybe one day I will be in a good mood and let you leave the Void Tower, allowing you to merge with the physical body and be reborn. Is this true? Suemo suddenly became excited when he heard this. Well, what did I lie to you for? Su Yang said casually. This. Suemo hesitated for a few seconds, then made a decision, gritted his teeth and said, okay, Su Yang, I hope you can keep your word. Leave the people outside to me. Wait a minute. Su Yang. You kid, are you trying to play tricks on me? Suddenly, Suemo came back to his senses, and the panic on his face gradually disappeared, replaced by a sneer. After going around and around, you still want me to help you solve the crisis outside. This shows that you don't want to die at all. He, Su Yang, I have to say that you are very good at psychological warfare. You acted for a long time and you even scared me. Suemo smiled coldly, but I have lived for thousands of years. How can you, a young boy, fool me? Threat me with death together, right? Okay, then do it. I want to see if you dare to die with me. As he said that, Suemo took a step forward, as if he was sure that Su Yang would not kill him, and the expression on his face became arrogant. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 615. Really? Sumo's judgment was correct, and Su Yang would definitely not die with him. At this moment, it was Su Yang's turn to have a headache. He looked at Suemo and said coldly, Suemo, I'm too lazy to talk nonsense with you. Tell me how to deal with your body. If you don't tell me, I will make your soul fly away immediately. Haha, do you think I'm stupid? I will die only if you tell me. If you don't tell me, you don't dare to kill me. Suemo smiled playfully, because, if you don't kill me, you still have a chance to survive. If I really die, the younger generation who controls my body will definitely kill you. So, Su Yang, let me out quickly. I can swear that I will never hurt you. Suemo said seductively, this way you don't have to die, I can achieve what I want, and everyone gets the best of both worlds. You're dreaming. Su Yang snorted coldly, then used his palms hard to pinch Sumo's neck from the air, and said with a sullen face, tell me, otherwise, I will make you disappear into thin air. Then take action. It's best to kill me. I want to see if you dare to kill me. Suemo had difficulty breathing, but still said stubbornly, knowing that Su Yang would not take action. Then look at it. Su Yang's palms gradually became harder, so that Sumo's face was filled with pain, and his soul slowly became illusory, but he refused to compromise. Snort. In the end, Su Yang snorted coldly, threw Suemo away, and said coldly, Suemo, think about it for yourself, is the person who controls your body reliable? If I really release you, will he help you regenerate, or will he directly wipe out your remaining soul? Suemo planned to change the method and sow discord. With your current soul power, it will be difficult to control him after you go out. Will he listen to you? You don't need to worry about this. He got my 100 poison banner and he will definitely repay me. Suemo saved his life, gasped for air, and then said, Su Yang, don't think others are like you, full of bad ideas. After my resurrection, I only need enough spiritual stones and the Void Tower to suppress the auspiciousness, and I will soon be able to return to the nascent soul realm, or even a higher realm, and be invincible in the world. Suemo then said, that person follows me and can eat well and drink spicy food. Why does he want to harm me? Haha, you are too naive. Su Yang sneered and said, based on what I know about him, I'm afraid he will personally drive your soul to pieces and occupy your body forever. If you can be invincible on your own, why should you succumb to others? Impossible, Su Yang, stop being alarmist. Suemo firmly refused to believe it. Let's see. When Su Yang saw that he could not be persuaded, he thought about it, retracted his mind, and stopped communicating with Suemo. Suemo cannot be killed now, just in case. If it really doesn't work, we have to try our best and follow the old poisonous man's request to release Suemo. At this moment, Lin Yuan is fighting against Shi Hehan and others, and the battlefield has become one-sided. Zhang Magu's animal skin drum was broken by Lin Yuan at some point, making him unable to perform soul attacks. Without Zhang Magu's restraint, Shi Hehan and others began to struggle. Boom! At this moment, the huge Shi Hehan was knocked down to the ground by Lin Yuan, who was flying into the air. The golden body like a hill fell, instantly sending up dust all over the sky, and the earth shook, no less than a magnitude 5 or 6 earthquake. Puff! After falling down, Shi Hehan's body immediately returned to its original shape and spurted out a mouthful of blood. The state of Taishan magic disappeared, and Shi Hehan was seriously injured. Grandfather! When Shi Jushin saw this, his eyes suddenly froze and he strode towards Lin Yuan. But in the end, he suffered the same fate as Shi Hehan. He was beaten until he returned to normal size, vomited blood, and turned pale. Without the blessing of Mount Tai's magical power, Shi Hehan and Shi Jushin were extremely weak and could no longer participate in the war. Next, Qian Shangxiu, Zhao Zhiruo, Lan Miaoi, Duan Qingsheng, and Zhang Magu were also beaten to the point of losing their fighting ability and lay dying on the ground. I'll kill you later. Lin Yuan showed a sneer, then looked up at Su Yang, and said in a deep voice, "No one can help you now, and I won't give you another chance. If you don't want to take the initiative to hand over the Void Tower and the Ancestor's soul, then I have to steal it myself." After the words fell, Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes slightly and went straight to kill Su Yang to avoid a long night and many dreams. Roar! Ari immediately returned to his original form, and the nine-tailed dark fox appeared on the scene instantly, roared, and took the initiative to meet Lin Yuan. "Haha, you are a demon clan. I was afraid of you before, but now, I have the body of my ancestor, and you are vulnerable." The corner of Lin Yuan's mouth raised, and with a wave of his hand, he knocked away the nine-tailed fox. But Ali refused to give in and continued to rush over, trying to protect Su Yang, but what awaited him was the same result, as he was mercilessly shot away by Lin Yuan. A few seconds later, a powerful force surged out from the Void Tower and gradually gathered into an illusory human shape. "Ari, calm down, you are no match for him, leave it to me." But now, Lin Yuan was a little worried. He didn't know if his ancestor had any backup plans. If he was punished instead, he would be dead. "Well, release the ancestor's soul quickly," Lin Yuan urged again. Well, Sumo's soul body, if it had any substance, looked up to the sky and laughed excitedly. Su Yang did not refuse, and he made a secret with both hands, causing the Void Tower to tremble and shine brightly. Lin Yuan smiled softly and said, "Haha, you can think about it? If I give you these two things, will you leave us?" Su Yang said lightly. The atmosphere at the scene was solemn, both of them were wary of each other, and no one spoke first. Su Yang nodded lightly, and then with a thought, the Void Tower emerged from his body, suspended in mid-air, exuding terrifying power. At this moment, the situation changes. "Yes. Suemo, come out." Su Yang met Lin Yuan's gaze and said calmly, "Old poison, do you really want the Void Tower and Sumo's soul?" "Ha ha ha, I have been sealed for more than 100 years, and I finally see the light of day again." Lin Yuan wondered, this is exactly the Void Tower, but why is it only 3 floors? Finished. Immediately afterwards, Suemo looked at his body, but for a moment he didn't take it directly. As soon as these words came out, Suemo and Lin Yuan were immediately at war with each other, and the atmosphere at the scene dropped to freezing point. Because Lin Yuan is still in Sumo's body. At this time, Su Yang suddenly said, "Old poison, do it quickly." Don't you want to refine Sumo's soul? You also said that in this way you can occupy such a powerful body forever. Hurry, now is an excellent opportunity. Don't let him get away. Okay. Su Yang first comforted Ali, and then stopped Wang Fugui, who was about to take action, and said, "Young Master Wang, the same goes for you. Don't be impulsive. I'll communicate with him." Seeing that Su Yang had given in, Lin Yuan urged, "Hurry up and release the ancestor's soul." Although he had fantasized about swallowing his ancestor's soul and permanently occupying his body, Lin Yuan sneered, "Why, you changed your mind and wanted to offer it with both hands. Sumo's soul power is relatively weak now, so it's hard to grab him head on. He can only take over if Lin Yuan comes out." Su Yang nodded, and then said, "I will release Sumo's soul first. As for the Void Tower, don't worry, I need time to clear my mark, so that you can directly let the Void Tower claim its master." "I don't know. When I got the Void Tower, it looked like this," Su Yang said casually. "Haha, Su Yang, wouldn't it be great if you just cooperate like this? Why bother fighting? Void Tower." He had been in the Void Tower for more than 100 years, and now that he was free, he was naturally extremely excited. Lin Yuan, on the other hand, was also watching, staring at Sumo's soul body without saying a word. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 616. Lin Yuan panicked. At present, he still doesn't know what level his ancestor Suemo is, and whether he can punish him. He is afraid of being killed by Suemo. Suemo also panicked. He came out of the Void Tower without a physical body. His soul power had not yet been nourished and restored, and he was very weak. Judging from his current state, it was difficult to deal with Lin Yuan. After hearing Su Yang speak out Lin Yuan's thoughts, he was naturally frightened. Next moment, both of them subconsciously took a few steps back while staring at each other warily. "Lin Yuan, if you don't take action yet, how long will it take?" Seeing that sowing discord was effective, Su Yang continued, "Don't worry, I will help you. After the matter is completed, I will also give you the Void Tower. You will definitely be able to ignore the ominous nature of the world and continue to advance and become the best in the world, the strongest. I just hope that when the time comes, you won't forget what you promised me, and let me join you to dominate the world." As soon as these words came out, Suemo panicked even more, staring at Lin Yuan with complicated eyes, wanting to tear him apart. "Su Yang, what nonsense are you talking about?" Lin Yuan paused, then gritted his teeth and said, "When did I ever say such things? Don't sow discord here." With that said, Lin Yuan looked at the soul body in front of him and explained, "Ancestor, don't listen to Su Yang's nonsense. I am loyal to you, and heaven and earth can learn from it. Ever since I received the inheritance of the 100 Poison Banner, I began to plan and look for opportunities to release your body." Lin Yuan continued to express his loyalty and said, "The Emperor has paid off. Today the ancient martial arts revolution has finally begun, and the formation that suppressed your physical body has also disappeared. I came to Su Yang to force Su Yang to let you out as your soul mark reminded me." Lin Yuan continued, "Ancestor, please don't be fooled. Su Yang has no way out, so he makes us fish and clams fight, and he reaps the benefits." Suemo heard this and thought it made sense, so he nodded and said, "Your name is Lin Yuan, right? Okay, what you said is reasonable and well-founded, I believe you. Thank you, Ancestor, for your trust." Lin Yuan hurriedly clasped his fists and said respectfully. At the same time, he secretly looked at Lin Yuan and observed his current state. If the Ancestor does not pose a threat to him, then there is no need for him to pretend anymore. Not far away, when Su Yang saw this scene, he was stunned and frowned. Suemo, are you a fool? You just choose to believe it? Haven't you lived for thousands of years, and you don't even have the heart to guard against others? Su Yang continued, the reason why I made this clear is not to sow discord. I just want to remind you because I feel sorry for you, but you turned a deaf ear. I really don't know how you can live for thousands of years, and how you can survive in the cunning world of cultivation, achieved such an achievement. Haha, Su Yang, I have said before, don't think too bad of people, there are still many good people in this world. Suemo had already started to walk towards Lin Yuan, and soon stood beside Lin Yuan, defenseless, and then said, Lin Yuan inherited my 100 poison banner and obtained the inheritance inside, then he is my disciple, I am sure believe in him. Having said this, Suemo looked at Lin Yuan and smiled softly, Lin Yuan, are you willing to be my disciple? Willing. Lin Yuan hurriedly knelt down on one knee, clasped his fists with both hands and said, Master, please bow to me, disciple. Ha ha ha, okay, just after leaving that ghost place in the Void Tower, I received a proud disciple. Suemo stroked his beard and said with a smile, today is really an auspicious day for me. Disciple Lin Yuan, don't worry if you accept me as your teacher. I will never treat you badly as my teacher. Suemo said sincerely, from now on, my master will focus on training you so that you can become the most powerful person and strive to surpass me and step into the legendary realm of the immortal emperor. Yes, master, I will definitely work hard. Lin Yuan was extremely excited. Good. Suemo nodded with satisfaction, and then said, disciple, please give me your master's body. I think it's a bit awkward for me to call myself master. Damn it. This old guy, Qing, is here waiting for Lin Yuan, I admire him. Su Yang could tell at a glance what Suemo was thinking, but he didn't say anything more and just stood aside and watched the show. This, master. At this time, Lin Yuan was confused, I'm afraid I can't do it now. My apprentice's physical body is still under Wudane Mountain. My soul's power is relatively weak. If I give up my body now, I'm afraid my soul will collapse within a few minutes. By the way, master, your soul seems to have substance, and it also exudes powerful power. How do you practice it? Lin Yuan suddenly asked. Damn it. Su Yang next to him had a playful smile on his lips, as if he had seen through everything. Lin Yuan's move was okay. He seemed careless, but he was actually trying to find out Sumo's current strength. When masters compete with each other, their moves are fatal. Haha, you can see it? Yes, my teacher's soul has been strengthened. Suemo said with a hearty and proud smile, my master has a secret technique that specifically strengthens the soul. The power of the soul was much stronger in the past than it is now, and the soul can even fight outside the body. But it doesn't work anymore. I have been imprisoned for more than 100 years. The damn Void Tower has made me isolated from the world, and my soul power has been exhausted through cultivation. Suemo was like a silly Batian and continued, now, I am still relatively weak as a master. I guess I can barely deal with the middle stage of pill formation. That's it? After some understanding, Lin Yuan came to the conclusion that Ancestor Suemo had no scheming intentions, was quite sincere, and was not wary of himself. Therefore, Lin Yuan believed what Suemo said. At this moment, when he heard that Suemo had revealed that his strength was only comparable to that of the middle stage of pill formation, Lin Yuan couldn't help but think about it, with a sinister look in his eyes as he stared straight at his ancestor, Suemo. Well, my master won't lie to you, disciple, my master, huh? Disciple, why do you look so bad? As Suemo was talking, he suddenly noticed that Lin Yuan's face had changed and he was looking at him expressionlessly. He. Lin Yuan stopped pretending and sneered, I don't want to be inferior to others, and I don't want to give up such a powerful body, so, master, just help my disciple. Perfect. What's the meaning? Sumo's expression suddenly changed, and he looked at Lin Yuan anxiously, his eyes full of fear. Haha, of course it is. Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes slightly, with a ferocious expression, and suddenly raised the 100 poison banner. In an instant, a powerful suction force enveloped Sumo. Ah, you scoundrel, I am so kind to you in vain, you actually. Before Sumo finished speaking, his soul was taken into the 100 poison banner and completely disappeared from the scene. Humph, you are trying to be my master. Don't you understand that I am perfunctory with you? Just stay at the 100 poison banner for now. When I get the Void Tower and deal with Su Yang, I will completely refine you and become a part of me. Lin Yuan showed a sneer, then his eyes fell on the Void Tower above Su Yang's head, and he said greedily, Void Tower, here I come. With that said, Lin Yuan rose into the sky and wanted to get the Void Tower. When Su Yang saw this, he thought about taking back the Void Tower. But at this time, Lin Yuan suddenly rushed towards him and said in a cold voice, Humph, you don't know whether to live or die, and you want to stop me from taking the Void Tower, you should die first. Facing Lin Yuan, who was controlling Sumo's body, Su Yang had no power to fight back. At this moment, Wang Fugui suddenly appeared and stood in front of Su Yang. Boom! With a muffled sound, Wang Fugui was directly blasted away by Lin Yuan, and his body fell heavily to the ground. Puff! After landing, Wang Fugui opened his mouth and spat out a pool of blood. His face was extremely pale, his breathing became sluggish, and his consciousness began to blur. Young Master Wang. Seeing this, Su Yang hurriedly ran over and hugged the seriously injured Wang Fugui. His eyes were slightly red and he gritted his teeth and said, You are trying to escape. Do I need you to block it for me? Ha, ha, young Master Su, I'm fine, look at me, I'm fine. In order not to worry Su Yang, Wang Fugui forced a smile, but as he spoke, he vomited blood again and his breathing was very weak. Stop talking. Su Yang was extremely moved and hurriedly injected his spiritual energy into Wang Fugui's body. Although Wang Fugui was at a lower level than him, he was still at the 9th level of Qi training. Su Yang's spiritual energy had little effect. Su, young Master Su, don't waste your spiritual energy. I know you have a powerful movement. Leave us alone and leave quickly. Wang Fugui said intermittently and weakly. Su Yang, Wang Fugui is right, you go first, I will fight to the death to hold the old poison. In the distance, Qian Shangxiu, who was lying on the ground, used all his strength to stand up. The same is true for Shi Hehan, Shi Jushan, Zhang Magu, and Duan Qingsheng. Zhao Zhiruo did not hesitate at all. As for Lan Miaoi, she also hesitated briefly, and finally decided to help Su Yang. Ximen Longjin had a complicated expression. The reason why he surrendered to Su Yang was to gain powerful power, but who knew that he would encounter such a thing that night? Ximen Longjin noticed that since he signed the soul contract with Su Yang, his life has been tied to Su Yang. If he dies, Su Yang will not be harmed, but if Su Yang dies, then he will inevitably perish. Therefore, after struggling for a while, Ximen Longjin united with Shi Hehan and others, intending to gain a chance of survival. At this time, Su Yang looked at Wang Fugui, and then glanced at everyone one by one, his eyes turned red, and he gritted his teeth and said, You are all my dearest relatives, brothers, how could I abandon you? Today, even if I fight to the last drop of blood, I will not run away, Su Yang said solemnly. Haha, I value love and justice, but Su Yang, what if you want to escape? Do you think you can escape? Lin Yuan said coldly, Now, you, suffer death, I want to kill you, no one can stop me. After the words fell, Lin Yuan's eyes were cold and he showed no mercy, intending to make a quick decision. After all, Wuodane Mountain is not a place to stay for a long time, and his body is still suffering from ominous troubles. Therefore, Lin Yuan plans to get the Void Tower as soon as possible, find a place where there is no one, refine the soul of the ancestor Suemo, control the Void Tower, and dominate the world. Snort. You want to kill Su Yang, do you have my consent? Unexpectedly, at this moment, a powerful aura suddenly swept across the entire place. Immediately afterwards, a woman wearing a long white dress came out of the air with an extraordinary appearance. She stood in front of Su Yang and stared at Lin Yuan coldly. Swish, swish, swish. The next moment, everyone's eyes fell on this person, and they were completely attracted to her. What a nice view. So strong. This is what everyone is thinking at this moment. Sister Zhao. After seeing the facial features of the visitor clearly, Su Yang was stunned, his eyes full of surprise. Haha, little guy, I haven't seen you for a while. You've already established your foundation. Not bad. Zhao turned around, her beautiful eyes fell on Su Yang, and she praised him. Sister Zhao. After Su Yang said hello, he asked directly, what's going on? Aren't you an ancient warrior? Why did you suddenly become a cultivator, and how dare you be so strong? It's a long story. Zhao smiled and said, at the beginning, I was just a sealed memory, just practicing in the world. Actually, I come from one of the 10 ancient tribes and am the ancestor of the ancient 11 family. Zhao then said, 11 Louis, have you seen it? He didn't tell you my identity. Ancient clan, 11 family, ancestor. Su Yang was greatly shocked, then showed a wry smile and responded, no, the people from the 11 family left after the Gyewu revolution started. I was also curious at the time and asked the person in charge of the 11 family who their ancestor was and why he ordered to help me, but the people from the 11 family didn't answer. Sister Zhao, your current strength is too strong, far beyond the peak of foundation building. It doesn't seem to be a fake elixir. Have you formed an elixir? Su Yang couldn't help but ask. There is no pill formation. Zhao shook his head, and then said truthfully, since the disappearance of the Qi practitioners of the pre-Qin dynasty, cultivators in the realm of pill formation have not been allowed to appear under this starry sky. You must also know about this. You will be troubled by the ominous situation. You will either die or embark on the ancient road in the starry sky. Zhao continued, you mentioned the fake elixir realm just now. It seems that you also know the origin of the fake elixir realm. After the condensed golden elixir is broken, it falls into the foundation building realm. This is a fake elixir. Zhao smiled and said, you guessed right at the beginning. Now I am in the fake elixir realm. Impossible. Su Yang expressed doubts, I have seen fake elixirs. Nangang Yin, who came to stop me from starting the ancient martial arts revolution, is a fake elixir. Compared with you, his strength is completely different. That's natural. Zhao smiled softly and said, Nangang Yin, that young man, only formed a calamity pill. Of course he cannot be compared to me. There are also strengths and weaknesses in the fake elixir realm. The first time you advance to the elixir formation, and then fall into the foundation establishment after being broken, you will be in the fake elixir realm. Zhao explained, however, some powerful cultivators with great perseverance, after falling into the foundation, condense the golden elixir again, and then break it. This is the second calamity fake elixir. Every time the golden elixir is broken, it is a narrow escape from death. It has to experience pain that is unbearable for ordinary people, so it is one disaster at a time, Zhao added. I see. Su Yang nodded. Hearing such words for the first time, his heart was full of admiration for the cultivators on earth. Even with the exhaustion of spiritual energy and the limitations of heaven, the cultivators on earth still overcome all kinds of difficulties and dangers and find a way to continuously become stronger. It is sad and lamentable. Sister Zhao, how many times have your golden elixir been shattered? In other words, how many times have you had a fake elixir? Suddenly, Su Yang asked curiously. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 617. Hearing Su Yang's inquiry, Zhao smiled and said, "Little guy, why are you asking this? I'm just curious." Su Yang couldn't help but said, "Sister Zhao, I think your Zhou Shen's power should not be weaker than the mid-stage pill formation. It is incredible to have the strength of the middle stage of the pill formation without entering the pill formation." Su Yang then guessed, "Sister Zhao, you have to go through at least 7 or 8 broken golden elixirs, right?" "No." Zhao shook her head and said, "Do you think it is easy to break the golden elixir? Every time a cultivator breaks the golden elixir, he or she will narrowly escape death. There are very few who can survive it." Zhao continued, "Furthermore, the second time to break the golden elixir will be several times more difficult than the first time, and so on. 7 or 8 times, how dare you think about it? No one in the world can do this." Zhao smiled softly and said, "Now, I have only been broken 6 times. I am in the 6th stage of false elixir realm, and my strength is comparable to the middle stage of elixir formation. It is said that after entering the 7th stage of pill formation, it can be compared to the late stage of pill formation." "I see." Su Yang nodded, and then asked, "So, Sister Zhao, are there many masters like you on the earth?" "Not many, only a handful." Zhao smiled and said, "As far as I know, 20 or 30 years ago, only a few old guys from the ancient tribe got the 5th rank. However, after all these years, I don't know if they have gone any further. You guys, are you done?" Su Yang was about to ask something, but at this moment, Lin Yuan in the distance spoke and said coldly, "After that, it's time for me to send you on the road together." "Noisy." Zhao looked at Lin Yuan coldly, frowned and said, "It's you old thing again. Last time at the border of southern Xinjiang, you were the one who tried to kill the little guy and accidentally let you run away. Now, you want to take action against the little guy again, you are really haunted." Zhao said expressionlessly, "Humph, today, I will eradicate the roots and make your soul fly away." Although Lin Yuan borrowed Sumo's body, Zhao's realm is not weak. Although he was not a true Danji practitioner, he had some of the abilities of a Danji realm cultivator, so he naturally recognized Lin Yuan's soul. Recalling the last time, Zhao's beautiful eyes were cold and full of murderous intent towards Lin Yuan. He. When Lin Yuan heard this, he immediately smiled playfully and said, "You alone want to kill me." "Zhao, to be honest, after that day, I began to have doubts about your identity. It is unbelievable how an instructor from Little China could have such great strength. So, I investigated your identity and learned that you are the senior sister of the Emperor Long Xin Tian. You come from a small section. That sect belongs to the 11 family, one of the 10 ancient clans. After some investigation, I vaguely knew that you must be from the 11 family, but I never expected that you turned out to be the ancestor of the 11 family." Lin Yuan continued, "It is said that the strength of the ancestors of the 11 family is unfathomable. Even the ancients of other ancient clans would not dare to offend him rashly. But, Zhao, you met me today. At this time, I have an invincible body. What can you use to fight me?" Lin Yuan smiled playfully, "Come on, Zhao, let me see the so-called 6th turn fake elixir." After the words fell, Lin Yuan showed a sneer, controlled Sumo's body, and rushed towards Zhao. "Sister Zhao, be careful, his body is very strong," Su Yang reminded hastily. Zhao nodded, Then with a sharp look in his eyes and high fighting spirit, he jumped up to meet Lin Yuan. Although her tone sounded dismissive of Lin Yuan, she was actually still wary of Lin Yuan. Because she felt a powerful force in Lin Yuan's body, she did not underestimate the enemy. Buzz. As Zhao moved, she squeezed her slender hands. In an instant, 9 long golden dragons suddenly appeared and surrounded her. Yes, Su Yang nodded truthfully. Lord Lin Yuan remained undaunted and continued to kill Zhao with his physical strength. The technique practiced by Zhao is called 9 Dragons Technique, which is among the top techniques among cultivators on Earth. At this time, hearing this, Qian Shangxue showed a smile and said, "It turns out he is my aunt's competitor." Tisk tisk tisk. It seems that Uncle Su was quite happy back then, and 2 beauties had a crush on him at the same time. Just like that, the 2 of them fought in mid-air. Su Yang paused, then looked at Qian Shangxue and explained, "She knows my parents, they have known each other for more than 20 years. My parents and her still have a relationship dispute." At this moment, Qian Shangxue walked to Su Yang's side with his seriously injured body and asked in a low voice. 9 long golden dragons composed of spiritual energy spread their teeth and claws around Zhao with overwhelming momentum. Hearing what Qian Shangxue said, Su Yang's face turned red, and he felt extremely ashamed, wishing he could find a crack in the ground to crawl in. Although Lin Yuan controlled Sumo's body, Zhao also completed the 6th revolution, representing the ancient clan's strongest fighting power. Su Yang did not hide Qian Shangxue, and told the other party exactly what happened in southern Xinjiang before, and then added, "Shuer, the situation was quite critical at that time. Sister Zhao fell into the old poisonous plan. If you don't do anything, that kind of thing would lead to death, and I didn't know it and was knocked unconscious, so." For a moment, spiritual energy was raging on the scene, and the aftermath of the battle rippled around, creating a grand scene. Therefore, when the 2 first fought against each other, there was no winner or loser, and it was difficult to tell the difference in a short period of time. Sister Zhao was bent before, but it seems to have been straightened by me. At the same time, Zhao's aura surged, and with the blessing of 9 golden dragons, the majestic aura swept in all directions. Nowadays. Boom. Su Yang, who is she? 9 Dragons Technique. Boom. Well, Shuer, I'm afraid you misunderstood. As Qian Shangxue was talking, something suddenly occurred to her, and she was surprised and said, "Su Yang, could she be a crook? She likes women." "What do you mean? Didn't you just say that she has an emotional dispute with your parents? If she doesn't like Uncle Su, she can still like." Qian Shangxue continued, "But, Su Yang, you have suffered a big loss. Speaking of this, you are considered to have been raped, it is really embarrassing." Su Yang also looked over and couldn't help sighing again. "You don't need to explain to me, I told you, I don't care how many women you have, I only care whether your women can fuck you cleanly." Fortunately, Qian Shangxue did not continue this topic, but looked at the battle in mid-air. "This." Su Yang touched the bridge of his nose and whispered, "The person that Sister Zhao likes is not my father." When she sealed her memory, she modified the ancient martial arts, and the 9 Dragons technique evolved into the 9 Dragons True Qi, which can sweep across the same realm. In the secret room of the 11 family, Zhao became a cultivator again and regained her peak combat power. The 9 Dragons Qi suddenly turned into the 9 Dragons Ju. It's a pity that such a beautiful woman, yet so strong, is just a lily. Qian Shangxue showed a hint of regret. Boom. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 618. It is so difficult for cultivators on Earth. They are subject to the way of heaven and can step into elixir formation, but they dare not take this step. But at the same time, the Earth's cultivators are also admirable. They have actually developed a false elixir path, jumping repeatedly between foundation building and real elixir formation, seeking the strongest combat power. In contrast, those cultivators in the Xiantian immortal realm are so happy. Not only are their star regions full of spiritual energy, but they don't have to worry about the so-called ominous things. You can imagine how much shock it would cause if cultivators from Earth arrived in the Xiantian immortal realm. Those people would never have imagined that even if they were beaten to death, there were still people who broke the golden elixir voluntarily, and even repeatedly broke the golden elixir. If one day, cultivators from Earth really appear in the Xiantian immortal realm, with sufficient spiritual energy and an unfettered cultivation environment, it will not take long for them to reach the top, right? After all, in such a harsh environment on Earth, one can become a giant, and one's talent must be first class. How will those sects in the Xiantian immortal domain face the cultivators on Earth? With this in his mind, Su Yang suddenly remembered that cultivators on Earth who have set foot in the realm of alchemy can go outside the realm through the ancient starry sky road. He doesn't know what the situation of those people is now. Boom. Just when Su Yang was thinking about these questions, a loud noise suddenly came from mid-air, accompanied by a strong light. When the light dissipated, Su Yang discovered that Xiao's body was falling, and the 9 golden dragons that originally surrounded him had also collapsed. Lin Yuan, on the other hand, was in a bad situation as well. He spat out a mouthful of blood and looked a little pale. The most important thing is that he just used the 100 poison banner to deal with Xiao. After this fierce confrontation, Lin Yuan's 100 poison banner fell from his hand and fell to the ground, emitting a faint black light. But his injuries were generally not serious, and his breathing was not rapid. Puff. On the other side, Xiao quickly stabilized her figure after landing. Her beautiful jade face was extremely pale, her eyes were full of shock, and she couldn't help but said, "Impossible, this is absolutely impossible. My 9 dragons are united into one, and the explosion emitted by me cannot be defeated even by my physical body at the peak of Dan formation." Xiao stared at Lin Yuan, gritted his teeth and said, "And the aura on your body is only in the late stage of pill formation. How could you only be slightly injured under the bombardment of 9 dragons' unity?" Saying that, Xiao spat out a mouthful of blood again, and her face turned a little pale. Su Yang hurriedly stepped forward and helped Xiao, but Xiao said that she was fine. He. Seeing this, Lin Yuan wiped the blood stains from the corner of his mouth and sneered proudly, "Xiao, I have to say that you are very powerful and you are worthy of being the most powerful master of the ancient clan. But, how can the true state of my body be pill formation?" Lin Yuan then smiled and said, "Don't say you are just a fake elixir of the 6th revolution. Even if you break the golden elixir 2 more times, so what? No one on Earth can destroy this body. Your strength is probably only 3 to 4/10 left now. You can die now. And you, Su Yang, and everyone here, you all have to die." The corner of Lin Yuan's mouth raised, he fell from mid-air, and slowly walked towards Xiao. At the same time, he waved to the 100 poison flags on the ground, wanting to take back the 100 poison flags. Damn it! I underestimated him. Xiao's eyes were cold, and he turned to look at Su Yang and whispered, "Little guy, I'm trying my best to stop him for 5 minutes. You can take them away and I'll deal with the aftermath." "Sister Xiao, what are you talking about? You came here to save me, how could I escape?" Su Yang met Xiao's gaze, looked at the 100 poison flags again, and suddenly had an idea, saying, "Sister Xiao, can you really hold him off for 5 minutes? "Well, okay," Xiao said confidently. "Okay, please, Sister Xiao, please check him. I will have my own way to deal with him," Su Yang said, mobilizing all the soul power at the same time to instantly cover the 100 poison banner. Lin Yuan thought he could take back the 100 poison flag by grabbing it from the air, but he was unexpectedly stopped by Su Yang, so he began to fight with Su Yang for control of the 100 poison flag. Whoosh! However, his soul power is very weak, how could he possibly defeat Su Yang? In just a few breaths, the 100 poison flag had already appeared in Su Yang's hand. Su Yang. He, so what if I take it away, you will be a dead person soon. Lin Yuan, who has his own physical body, is so powerful that Su Mo could not have imagined this. Su Yang, die. Therefore, Su Yang planned to release Su Mo and let Su Mo deal with Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan was so angry that he immediately jumped towards Su Yang without stopping. As long as I'm here, you can't even touch a hair on this little guy. Su Yang will definitely die. Damn it, why am I hesitating? Young Master Su is my brother, he can't die. Behind Su Yang, Wang Fuegui looked at Lin Yuan walking slowly with a complicated expression. Lin Yuan was guided by Su Mo and came here in Su Mo's body. As for Su Yang, he stood aside and concentrated on trying to open the 100 poison banner and release the Su Mo inside. Later, Zhao and Lin Yuan fought again, and the fighting scene was very fierce. Boom! Suddenly, Lin Yuan's face turned ferocious, and his palms carried terrifying power, pressing down on Su Yang mercilessly. At this moment, Zhao was really at the end of her strength. All the spiritual energy in her body was exhausted, and she lost the ability to take action again. At this moment, seeing this, Zhao made a secret with both hands and recondensed 9 long golden dragons. At the same time, his aura surged and stopped Lin Yuan. Time, Su Yang needed time, but time passed by quietly like this. However, the 100 poison banner is not a simple thing, and he will not be able to break it for a while. Boom! Lin Yuan showed a sneer, then strode forward and took action suddenly. Haha, you have no chance. As an old monster who has lived for thousands of years, I will definitely not make this kind of mistake. He lowered his head, looked at the Suana in his hand, and fell into deep thought without saying a word. In less than 6 minutes, Zhao could no longer hold on and was blasted away by Lin Yuan, falling to the ground. If he hadn't prepared a backup plan, wouldn't Lin Yuan be able to manipulate him at will? 2 minutes, I still have 2 minutes left. At this time, Su Yang was sweating profusely and said through gritted teeth. At the same time, Shi Hehan, Shi Jushan, Qin Changxiu, Zhang Magu, Duan Qingming, Lan Miaoi, Zhao Zhiruo, Ali. Everyone stood in front of Su Yang. Boom! Boom! Su Yang always felt that Su Mo had a way to deal with Lin Yuan, otherwise he would never have the confidence to tell Lin Yuan how to control his body. Su Yang was cracking the 100 poison banner and was unable to get away for a while. Everyone else on the scene fell down and lost their ability to fight. Because at the critical moment, Wang Fuegui suddenly exposed his ancient arm, raised the Suana in his hand, gritted his teeth and shouted, "Sword, I want to use the sword, the King's Quan sword." Unfortunately, it was of no avail. Lin Yuan waved his sleeves and knocked them all away. In an instant, a thunder suddenly appeared, and the color of the world changed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 619. Sword. At the last moment, Wang Fuegui couldn't care less, broke the shackles in his heart, and chose to transform the Suana in his hand into a sword. When Su Yang was refining the Suana, Wang Fuegui had a backup plan. As long as Wang Fuegui is willing, he can turn Suana into a powerful sword in an instant. But Wang Fuegui witnessed his mother dying under the sword, which left a lingering shadow in his heart, so he was full of rejection of the sword. He originally had a taily sword body. If he used a sword, he would be extremely powerful and even embark on a path of invincibility. But after all, I couldn't overcome the shadow in my heart, and I still refused to face it during this period. Even when competing with Wang Ye, he would rather be eliminated than change the form of Suana. But at this moment, Su Yang was in danger. Wang Fuegui was extremely anxious, and finally made a decisive decision. He wants to use the sword, he wants to become stronger, and he wants to protect his best brother. Ever since he put on the ancient arm, a voice has been ringing in Wang Fuegui's mind. Sword, pick up the sword and you will gain supreme power. At first, Wang Fuegui thought he was hearing hallucinations, but this voice kept ringing. In addition, he could clearly feel the power of the ancient arm. So Wang Fuegui believed it. This ancient arm is mysterious and unpredictable, and Wang Fuegui has not yet thoroughly studied it. But he concluded that if he really held the sword, it would definitely stimulate the strength of his arm, giving him unparalleled power. In order to save Su Yang, Wang Fuegui decided to give it a try and see how strong he could be. Buzz. At this time, in the sky, there was thunder first, then lightning and thunder, and the sound was huge. Almost instantly, the Suana in Wang Fuegui's hand suddenly turned into a 7-foot sword. This long sword is entirely cyan, glowing with a cold light, and covered with complex patterns. Of course, the most important thing is that the aura exuded by the long sword swept the entire place, causing thunder to beat on the tip of the sword and the surrounding air to buzz. Royal Sword. This is the magic weapon that Su Yang refined for Wang Fuegui, the King Quan sword. Holding the royal sword in his hand, Wang Fuegui's ancient arm seemed to be summoned and suddenly burst out with a powerful force. Hiss. Wang Fuegui then took a breath of cold air. After a few seconds, the ancient arm returned to normal and the light dissipated. But Wang Fuegui had undergone earth-shaking changes, and in an instant, he became a cultivator in the realm of elixir formation. Early stage of pill formation. So scary. You know, Wang Fuegui only practiced the 9th level of Qi before, and didn't even build a foundation. But now, he has stepped across the foundation building and directly stepped into the pill formation. This speed of progress is simply weird. Swish, swish, swish. At this moment, everyone's eyes were on Wang Fuegui, their eyes filled with shock and disbelief. What, brother Fuegui, is actually so strong? It seems I underestimated him before, Zhang Magu said in surprise. What a terrifying aura, even more powerful than Nangong Yin. Isn't he capable of forming a pill? Shi Hehan couldn't help but guess. Duan Qingsheng shook his head and said, impossible. The earth does not allow cultivators in the realm of alchemy to appear, otherwise they will be troubled by bad luck. But there is no bad luck around Mr. Wang. Could it be that Tian Dao hasn't reacted yet after setting foot on the pill formation? Qian Shangxiu made a guess. No, Lan Miao, I denied. When my master set foot on the pill formation, I was watching from the sidelines. It was very difficult for her to advance to the pill formation. She had to contend with the way of heaven. After many hardships, my master set foot on the pill formation. She was in the realm of pill formation, but the next moment, she appeared ominous. I have condensed the golden elixir 6 times. It is true as you said, ominousness will appear the moment a cultivator sets foot on the elixir. Therefore, if you want to achieve the false elixir, you must be quick and not hesitate. After successfully condensing the golden elixir, you must destroy quickly. Zhao looked at Wang Fuegui and said doubtfully, but what's going on with this young man? He is already in the early stage of pill formation, and there is nothing ominous about him. Weird, weird. No matter what he does, I don't know if he can deal with the old poison. Zhao Zhiruo, who was next to her, whispered, while looking at Su Yang worriedly with her beautiful eyes. Zhao and Qian Shangxiu naturally noticed it and glanced at Zhao Zhiruo without saying much. At this moment, Lin Yuan also noticed Wang Fuegui's change, stopped instantly, and stared at Wang Fuegui warily. powerful. Why did the young man in front of me suddenly become so strong? Forget it, the key point is, how did he not be troubled by the ominous after condensing the golden elixir? Also, the power exuded by the sword in his hand is actually stronger than his own 100 poison banner. What is the origin? Etc. That arm. Suddenly, Lin Yuan seemed to have discovered something terrible, and his expression instantly became serious. Familiar. He actually felt a familiar breath from Wang Fugui's arm, which seemed to have the same origin as his current body. Lin Yuan looked down at his empty left arm, and a bold guess came to his mind. Could this young man's sword-holding arm be the lost left arm of the ancestor Suemo? Young people. With this thought in his mind, Lin Yuan looked at Wang Fugui and said in a deep voice, "I see you have two left arms. Where did you get that sword-holding arm?" At this moment, Wang Fugui held the King Quan sword and had already entered the realm of pill formation. Naturally, he came to the abyss and said calmly, "Old man, what does this have to do with you?" Snort. Lin Yuan said coldly, "That arm belongs to me. If you give it back to me immediately, maybe I will consider sparing your life. Are you thinking that I am so strong now that I still need you to be merciful and spare my life?" Wang Fugui was really a little inflated, and he cursed and said, "Old dog, you want to kill my good brother, damn it, you should die." After the words fell, Wang Fugui held the King Quan sword and jumped towards Lin Yuan. "Humph, you don't know how to lift yourself up. If that's the case, then I'll finish you off first, and then I'll take off your arm myself." Lin Yuan was furious, snorted coldly, and then greeted Wang Fugui. Boom. Clang. Boom. Next, Wang Fugui fought with Lin Yuan, and the scene was no less than when Lin Yuan and Xiao fought just now. For a time, it was difficult for the two to tell the winner. Although Wang Fugui had just entered Dan Dan, Lin Yuan was comparable to the late Dan Danji. But Wang Fugui has a taily sword body with amazing talent, so he naturally has the ability to fight beyond levels. As for Lin Yuan, he lost the 100 poison banner and was not completely integrated with Sumo's body, so he could not exert his full power. Therefore, Wang Fugui and Lin Yuan were fighting hard to separate each other. This was Wang Fugui's first time using a sword and he was not very familiar with it. Otherwise, due to the injury caused by Atai Li's sword body and the King Quan sword at his disposal, it would not be surprising if Wang Fugui crossed two small realms and could kill the late stage of Dan formation instantly with one sword. The other side. Time passed minute by minute, and soon, Su Yang wiped away the soul imprint left by Lin Yuan on the 100 poison banner, and at the same time opened the 100 poison banner. Whoosh! In an instant, a soul that seemed to have substance escaped from the 100 poison banner in disgrace. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 620. Damn it! I refined this 100 poison banner, but it almost killed me. Bah! The moment he came out, Suemo couldn't help but curse and complain about the 100 poison banner. Okay, stop complaining, this is all your fault. At this time, Su Yang looked at Suemo and said calmly, "Suemo, you have seen the current situation. You know very well what your heir thinks about your soul." Su Yang continued, "Now, only if you force him out of your body will we be safe." Just now. Before opening the 100 poison banner, Su Yang glanced at the battle between Wang Fugui and Lin Yuan. Although the two were currently evenly matched, it was Wang Fugui's first time fighting with a sword, and the body controlled by Lin Yuan was extraordinary. If the fight continues, Wang Fugui probably won't last long, and defeat is inevitable. That's why Su Yang released Sumo's soul from the 100 poison banner. Suemo met Su Yang's gaze, nodded and said, "You are right, I was wrong. I didn't expect this guy to be so ambitious that he even wants to devour me. I will definitely not let him go. It's just that, Su Yang, my soul power is too weak now. I know there are several souls in your void tower. Su Emo requested, as long as you give them to me, after I devour them, the power of my soul will increase greatly, and I will be able to force Lin Yuan out of my body, and then the crisis will be over. He. When Su Yang heard this, he showed a sneer, stared at Su Emo and said, "Isn't that right? I'm afraid you will take over your own body and become my new crisis, right? What did you say?" Sumo's thoughts were seen through, and he was a little embarrassed, but he refused to admit it and said, "Su Yang, at least we have been getting along day and night for a long time. I also have friendship with your Su family, especially your great-grandfather Su Wazi. My best friend, how could I embarrass you?" "Yeah." Su Yang raised his eyebrows and said, "You won't embarrass me, haha, if you put it like that, after driving away Lin Yuan, can you really keep your soul and body?" Su Emo heard this and hesitated for a few seconds. Then he stopped pretending and said, "Su Yang, I'll tell you clearly. You guessed it right. I will return to my body. You can't stop this." Su Emo suddenly said seriously, "Besides, you cannot and cannot stop me. Even if your great-grandfather Su Wazi is here, he will not stop me." "Oh? Why?" Su Yang frowned, wanting to hear Sumo's explanation. "Because the ancient martial arts revolution has been successfully launched, breaking the balance established by the immortal emperor from outside the territory, and the earth will soon change." Sumo's expression was solemn, and he dropped a bombshell. Su Yang suddenly became interested and asked, "Go on, what's going on?" "Because, outside the earth, there is a large natural formation that covers the entire earth. According to today's scientific knowledge, it should be called the ozone layer. I will never forget what the immortal emperor did to me back then. If I have the opportunity to hunt down his descendants, I will definitely bear the brunt of it. Even if you don't take action, I will never look back." When Su Emo heard this, a coldness flashed across his eyes, and he said with overwhelming murderous intent, "Su Yang, you underestimate me." Su Emo said, "Therefore, that big shot has done a lot of things. He was the one who arranged the 9-turn transformation formation in Wudane Mountain. Now, as long as my soul and body are integrated, my strength will definitely reach the peak in a short time." Su Emo continued, "In short, the immortal emperor from outside the territory is blocked by the Great Formation, that is, outside the ozone layer, and cannot go any further, but this does not affect their experiments on the Earth. As far as I know, their experiments have already been going on for thousands of years. He. I remember I told you before that the Earth is just a testing ground for the alien emperor. Good. If that's the case, I really should help you, but..." Having said this, Su Emo looked at Su Yang and said, "Su Yang, can you imagine what those masters from outside the world will do to the Earth after they come to it?" Su Emo said seriously, "I will be the backbone of protecting the Earth, so you must help me and give me the souls in the Void Tower. In that case, I will help you." Therefore, they set a taboo for cultivators. They are not allowed to enter the realm of pill formation, otherwise they will either die or leave the earth. So they made a rule to prevent a new realm from appearing above the land martial god. Su Yang stared at Su Emo and said seriously, "Can I trust you? Now I am helping you to be reborn. What if someone from outside the realm really comes? What if you don't show up?" However, the immortal emperor from the outer territories underestimated the earth after all. The three of them worked together and couldn't enter the earth at all. But equally, they don't want the ancient warrior to be so powerful that it exceeds their control. But, more than 100 years ago, a powerful immortal emperor-level figure came to Earth through unknown means and broke the peace. According to the information I received, when the immortal emperors from outside the world come to Earth, they need to consume a lot of resources and lower their level. Every time they stay on Earth for an additional quarter of an hour, their bodies will suffer more damage. Therefore, the cost for them to come to Earth is very high. Suemo continued, the 9-turn transformation formation is the method used by the immortal emperor who helped the Earth to overthrow the law of the immortal emperor outside the territory. After Su Yang heard this, his expression was extremely solemn. He could see that Suemo was not lying. Suemo said sternly, the old sect master of Tianji sect also predicted that after the ancient martial arts revolution, extraterrestrial strongmen would appear on the Earth. The extraterrestrial immortal emperor would not come in person, but would open a gap to allow the extraterrestrial masters to enter Earth. Suemo didn't want others to know these words, so he told Su Yang through soul transmission. He once said that the immortal emperor from outside the territory does not want people on Earth to become stronger, lest they exceed his control. Once activated, the ancient martial arts system will enter a new realm. Ancient warriors can become infinitely stronger, thus challenging the authority of the immortal emperor from outside the territory. In time, they may escape from the control of the immortal emperor from outside the territory. Of course, the immortal emperors from outside the territory are not vegetarians. They also have methods. Moreover, based on the information he learned from other places, Su Yang felt that everything Suemo said was correct. Suemo continued, about 2,000 years ago, there was an alien emperor who held the gate of time and space. He entered the interior of the Earth with great power and took away a group of the most powerful cultivators on the Earth. That person is simply not in the same camp as the 3 immortal emperors from outside the territory, and he wants to help the Earth get rid of the troubles of the immortal emperors from outside the territory. Suemo continued, as for the evolution of the ancient martial arts system, they also acquiesce. Suemo said, the 3 immortal emperors from outside the territory crossed the endless void and found the Earth. They used the Earth as a testing ground to verify their conjectures and find the opportunity to take that step. Moreover, since that time, the natural formation protecting the Earth has been strengthened a lot. The ozone layer has become several times stronger than before, making it more difficult for the alien emperor to visit the Earth. And all this is naturally what they don't want to see, so they will definitely stop it. Su Yang no longer hesitated and immediately made a decision to release the souls of the Du family ancestors that he had captured from Du Fei Yang from the Void Tower.